sweeping climate, health, and tax bill.
Clear signs of a frontal boundary moving into the area with some thunderstorm chances on the way, the latest in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And the CDC is expected to relax some of its COVID-19 restrictions.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Senate passes President Biden's spending plan to address health care and climate change. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, the Democrat-controlled Senate delivers President Biden a major legislative win. Multi-billion-dollar spending bill focused on health care and climate change. Now, the victory comes after months of negotiations with a pair of Democrats. The plan provides, among other things, tax credits for people to make their homes more energy efficient. Natalie Brand has more details from Capitol Hill.
President Biden celebrated a major legislative win after Democrats' sweeping climate, health care, and tax bill passed the U.S. Senate.
A whole range of things that are really game changers for ordinary folks.
Following months of negotiations and a marathon weekend session, Vice President Kamala Harris delivered the tie-breaking vote.
The bill, as amended, is passed.
Democrats emerged exuberant.
When I look back at my service in the Senate, I'll think about this legislation as one of the most consequential things that I had the chance to work on.
Republicans exasperated.
The bill's title shows you what it is. It's an Inflation Increase Act.
The Inflation Reduction Act invests nearly $370 billion in climate and energy. It also allows Medicare to negotiate high-cost prescription drugs. The bill is estimated to lower the deficit by around $300 billion, paid for with new tax provisions, including a 15% minimum tax on large companies and increased IRS enforcement.
They're going to propose hiring 87,000 new IRS agents, and they promise you this is only going to go after the rich. You should not believe that.
The Senate showdown comes just 3 months before the midterm elections.
Since this could take a while to implement, when will people see and feel the impacts?
Some of the things they'll find quite quickly, and some of the things will take a longer time.
The legislation now heads to the U.S. House with a vote expected on Friday. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
The Senate has now adjourned for the month of August to allow members to go home and campaign. Well, rain chances offer a break from the sweltering heat. Chris Corner joins us with a look at what's ahead.
We're certainly hoping that they will. You can see we've still got a few stray showers off to the northwest, and then check out down by Bartlesville, where we've actually had these little storms. They just keep cycling over the same area, but they are part of a bigger picture that's going to be bringing us some more thunderstorm chances as the day progresses. As you can see, we need those thunderstorm chances. Everybody in the red still in extreme drought situations, which is not where we want to be. We need some kind of relief, and you can see already it's toasty. It's hot outside. We are all sitting around the mid-90s, except, say, Bella Vista, Anderson, Neosho in the lower 90s, the cool spots, and then Yates Center, Iola, and Port Scott. So remember this morning, they were the warm spots. Now they're the cool spots. And you can see where the rain's been camping out to the northwest because the temperatures there are considerably better. Now, you take into account dew points. Yeah, these temperatures not very pleasant as we're heading into the upper 90s to lower 100s, 101 heat index in Webb City. Ouch. But there's relief on the way. The rain really is going to make a difference. So as we go through the rest of the evening, thunderstorm chances, they'll be scattered, but they will persist through the night into the overnight hours. 91 by 6, 88 by 8, 83 at 10 o'clock, 79 by midnight. And for everybody, we're going to be getting into the lower 70s for overnight lows tonight. What kind of rain is on the way? Well, it's the liquid kind, but how much of it are we going to see, and how long is it going to last? We'll break that all down a little bit later.
All right. Looking forward to seeing more rain chances and cooler temperatures.
We need all of the above, and we're getting a little bit of the above at least.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, the CDC is expected to relax some of its COVID-19 restrictions soon, just as kids' hearts start heading back to school. CBS News obtained a draft document on the updated guidelines that are likely to involve 2 key areas for students: COVID testing and social distancing. Nancy Chen reports from New York.
Look at the pools.
The CDC is planning to simplify and streamline a wide number of its COVID-19 recommendations, starting in the classroom. According to a draft document obtained by CBS News, the changes could allow schools to relax their strict social distancing measures, which have already been effectively phased out by the CDC. They would also de-emphasize so-called test-to-stay strategies, where students exposed to the virus take regular tests to stay in the classroom.
So the test-to-stay strategies, we've turned over a lot of infections that were asymptomatic and forced kids out of the classroom. I think they can lift those things at this point, and that seems to be where CDC is heading.
School Superintendent Michael Cornell fully supports the possible changes.
What we have to focus on in school is making sure our kids experience joy, value, and connection in school.
Another potential update, those exposed to COVID would no longer need to quarantine, vaccinated or not. Instead, the recommendation would be to mask for 10 days and test 5 days after exposure. Dr. Scott Gottlieb says the CDC would still ask schools to remain vigilant.
For example, notifying parents when there's a close contact so parents can keep an eye on their children and get them tested.
Part of the CDC's reasoning in lifting the quarantine recommendation for anyone exposed to the virus is the increase in people who have COVID-19 antibodies. They also want to limit the social and economic impact that quarantines are having on the nation. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
Currently, only about 30% of children between the ages of 5 to 11 are fully vaccinated. More than 80% of Americans are living in areas with medium to high COVID rates. Well, a ceasefire seems to be holding so far between Israel and Gaza militants, but the past few days saw the most serious violence in more than a year. Airstrikes kicked off the latest round of fighting on Friday, with Israel's military targeting the top brass of the Palestinian militant group Islamic Jihad. Israel's prime minister says the fight is not with the people of Gaza, but against the Islamic Jihad that wants to destroy the state of Israel and kill innocent Israelis. Palestinian officials say more than 40 people were killed, including civilians, and at least 15 children. No Israelis died. Egypt brokered the ceasefire that began Sunday night. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, food banks and inflation.
Food banks are seeing a rise in demand across the nation. I'm Danya Backus, and I'll tell you how inflation has more Americans looking for help.
And later, we're making beefy garlic pizza in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Inflation has millions of Americans struggling to make ends meet and looking for help. And now food banks and pantries are seeing a big jump in demand. Danya Backus reports.
The long line at this recent food distribution event outside of Los Angeles is a familiar sight. Across the country, charities say there is a rise in the number of people needing help. Diane Martinez says she's here because inflation has priced her out.
The prices of food are so high and they're going up higher every day.
Food banks saw a big jump in demand during the pandemic, but we're hoping for a change this year.
For 2022, we're expecting things to really start sliding down in terms of the demand for food assistance. But really with the inflation hit, we saw another upsurge.
In June, prices at the grocery store rose more than 12%, the largest one-year increase since 1979. In this Chicago neighborhood, it's not just high prices that's a problem. There's also a lack of affordable grocery stores in the area. That's why 250 people, including Jimmy King Jr., came to this pop-up pantry event.
I'm really blessed, and the people of this community are blessed for this to be going on.
Families making these decisions between filling their gas tank to get to work, paying the rent, paying utilities, other basic expenses, and meeting their food costs.
Higher costs and an influx of people to feed has many charities struggling. Food banks everywhere are looking for more donations so they can continue to help everyone in need. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, Mr. Food.
It's a pizza party kind of day here in the test kitchen, and you're invited. If you want to find out what kind of pizza we're serving, you're going to have to stick around.
But first, Chris Warner returns with your complete forecast.
We do have rain on the way. I know a lot of us have been dry through the day, but it is going to rain for some of us. And despite that, obviously, it's still hot today. But those scattered storm chances will increase through the day, and they might even hang out with us until tomorrow. First up, though, the drought situation, not getting any better. You can see where all of this red is extreme. We've still got severe drought and moderate drought and some abnormally dry up here to the north where they've seen a little bit more rain than points south. These clouds are from a boundary that's trying to get some scattered showers and thunderstorms going. It's going to be pushing off to the south and east progressively. Before it does so, though, it is hot. It hurts my eyes just to look at that number. It's 96, feels like 101. Not as bad as it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, but it's still not pleasant. All of us sitting into the mid to upper 90s, except for, say, Yates Center, Iola, Fort Scott's a little bit cooler up there to the north. Now, the dew points are still hanging out because we have that increasing moisture for this particular boundary as it drags itself on in here. We're all sitting in about the upper 60s with a couple of 70-degree readings on those dew points. You factor that into the temperature, and here's what it does to that temperature. 98 in Neodesha, 97 Parsons, 101 in Webb City, 100 in Pittsburgh. It's hot, and it feels hot. So here's what's going to happen as we go through the evening. The storm chances are scattered. That's the big thing to keep in mind is they are scattered. But they'll be sticking with us through the night and into the overnight hours. So we're going to be dropping off. These temperatures are slightly off. I'm not sure what happened here. But we're going to be in the 90s by 6 o'clock. And then we'll start to get into the 80s as we head into the overnight hours. And all of us, these numbers are at least right, are going to be in the lower 70s for overnight lows. Now, on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, there's a couple of things to take a look at. First, this cloud line. And you can see very clearly where the boundary lies. It's tried to set off some showers and thunderstorms in our northwestern areas. It's really got this little storm going down in the Bartlesville area, whereas you can see over the past several hours, it has generated, died, regenerated, died, and it's kept regenerating on itself. But now there's some additional development out back behind that. And that development should continue to increase. So as we head through, you can see our best chances for storms start to really build into the overnight hours. And they stick with us. They'll be out by tomorrow morning. And then we might still have some isolated storms through our Tuesday. But here's the best part. The storms we see in this frontal boundary keep temperatures reasonable through tomorrow. We're talking upper 80s, maybe some lower 90s, which we can now see on the future track. So you see where it's showing some of these storms continuing to develop. This is 11 o'clock tonight. You can see a few of them across the area, and they'll move on through, and then we'll see additional development, and it'll move on through, and then it'll be relatively pleasant. And this particular model even has us going into the upper 60s in some spots for overnight lows, which I know nobody would be upset about. Rain is expected to be hopefully widespread as this system moves on through, anywhere from a quarter, tenth to upwards of a half inch of rain for many of us. And through the rest of the day, again, those storm chances increase. Heat index values are already at 101, going through the overnight. Storms stick with us, maybe some heavy rain if you get underneath one of those thunderstorms. And on the 7-day forecast, there's that break on Tuesday, 89. And then by Wednesday, anything we have left over will move on out of here, and temperatures will soar right back up into the triple digits as we wrap up this week and head into the next one. So a brief break, and it's right back to the summer heat again.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least we get that brief break. It gives us hope.
We do.
To get through the next stretch of hot.
Right. We have a moment to kind of catch our breath before it really slams us again.
I just wish we had those breaks on the weekend.
That would be nice. I could go for, an 80-degree weekend. That would be fine. It can be hot during the work week. For those of us who work Monday through Friday, it can be hot while we're at work, and then it can be nice on the weekend. But it's just not doing that for us.
All right. Thanks, Chris. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Specialist Paul Cupp Sr. in the U.S. Army. Cupp joined the Troop A 7th Armored Squadron, 1st Air Cavalry in 1969. Pittsburgh native earned a number of honors, the Army Commendation Medal, the Good Conduct, National Defense, and the Vietnam Gallantry and Service Medals. Specialist Paul Cupp Sr., we thank you, our four-state hero. Looking for new ways to cook with ground beef? We're having a pizza party today at the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Howard shows us how to make his beefy garlic pizza.
Raise your hands if you like pizza. I might not be able to see you, but I'm sure there's lots of you at home with your hands raised. Well, guess what? Today's your lucky day because we're having a pizza party. Instead of serving up the same old cheese pie, we thought it'd be fun to make a beefed up pizza that is nothing short of spectacular. We start by sauteing some ground beef along with a bit of garlic until no pink remains. After draining it, we stir in some fresh plum tomatoes that we've seeded and chopped along with a bit of salt and pepper. This'll be what sets us apart. Next, we roll out a store-bought pizza dough. You could even use a pre-made pizza shell, or if you're watching your carbs, a cauliflower pizza crust. Now we spoon the tomato and meat mixture over the crust and top it with strips of provolone cheese, and into the oven it goes. And by the way, if you're not a big meat eater, you can substitute the beef with a plant-based protein. Once the crust is golden and the cheese is melted, all that's left to do is cut it into wedges and dig in. Talk about something that everyone loves and that's so darn easy and budget friendly. The recipe for our beefy garlic pizza is online now, so you can throw your own pizza party at home as soon as tonight. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a beefy good way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
It's a lot of meat on one pizza. You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Take a look out by Bartlesville, Nevada. We've got some showers and thunderstorms trying to get going. Hopefully they will fill in across more of the area as the day goes on. Thunderstorms today still getting pretty hot. It's already pretty hot. Nice little break tomorrow, and then, triple digits return as we wrap up this week.
Those triple digits.
It wouldn't be August without them.
Well, coming up tonight at 5, at least one person died this summer after being infected with what's known as a brain-eating amoeba. Now, are you planning to take a trip to the lake? What you need to look out for in Health Watch. Plus, a Native American woman is walking across the country to raise awareness for murdered and missing Indigenous women. We catch up with her in Miami, and how Carthage schools are dealing with a school bus driver shortage. We'll find out. Join us for those stories and much more tonight on the KOAM News at 5.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us here on the KOAM News at Noon.
And the rest of the team will see you right back here at 5 o'clock.